Now, a lot has been going on with this Drakeo the Ruler situation, and a lot of things have been said, a lot of things have been not said, a lot of things have been proven, a lot of things have been disproven. But the biggest thing that I want to highlight here is how Flakko is getting a lot of his information wrong. Yes, a lot of information he's getting wrong. So we'll go ahead and start off with this now viral clip of Munchie B.
Munchie B is so motivated to harass anybody who might have information that could solve this Drakeo the Ruler's murder, or why Munchie B wants to murder a potential witness in this Drakeo the Ruler's case. Maybe the reason why he wants to do it is because, I don't know, Munchie B may have conspired to murder Drakeo the Ruler with other Inglewood family members, or Munchie B probably passes the bottle and parties with the Drakeo the Ruler killers every weekend. I mean, that's just a theory. Wait, no, it's not a theory. He actually said it.
They're right there. So find it. The nigga Drakeo was all on Adam shit, right? Talking about this nigga and all that. Man, right? Drakeo is dead, bro. What are we talking about? Don't make me disrespectful. Hold on, homie. Hey, bro, look. Hold on. Hey, you know Drakeo shit used to be on the table and ain't there no more, right? Drakeo shit was on the table and ain't there no more, right? Hold on. You do know I said fuck Drakeo and his brother worked there on Friday. Dumbass stuff, bro. Hey, Drakeo is dead, bro. Hey, bro, the nigga that killed Drakeo, I passed the bottle back and forth to him all the time. What are we talking about?
Now, that's probably not the smartest thing at all, but, you know, Munchie B, you shouldn't have said that. I ain't gonna lie. But that doesn't change the fact that Flakko's getting this type of information wrong when he's saying things like,
according to YG's personal security guard who handles his street beefs, the B team is Inglewood family, Neighborhood Pyru, Black P-Stones, and Bloodstone Villains. And he would...
Now, with that all being said, nowhere, and when I say nowhere, I mean nowhere do you see any mention of the B team. No mention of this. This is Flakko just coming out with his whole narrative. At no point in anywhere in gangbanging history has anyone ever said the B team consists of, and then name these guys. You feel me? So it just doesn't really make 100% sense when it comes down to how Flakko's putting his information together. But we're going to go even deeper than this because he keeps mentioning one person by the name of Frankenstone and all these other dudes from Neighborhood Pyru, from Bloodstone Villains, from BPS. And none of these dudes are named in any of the situation that was brought up to us by the LA Times. But before we get into that, some of the names that Flakko are mentioning are...
According to YG's personal security guard, his street beef, let's start off with the IF in the B team, which represents Inglewood families. Family and their reasons for wanting Drakeo dead is probably the most talked about and most notable. Now, the most famous Inglewood family member is Munchie B. Drakeo.
Now, outside of Munchie B having a very bad thing to say that he shouldn't have said about Drakeo the Ruler, there's no actual proof that Munchie B did anything to harm or to facilitate any type of harm or foul doings towards Drakeo the Ruler. So I'm not really sure why Munchie B is being brought into this outside of him and Flakko having an issue, because Munchie B said this about Flakko.
No. To the white man. Bro, you guys said we should have a show called God Bless the White Man years ago. And I got on your bumper about that. He said we should have a show called God Bless the White Man. What are you talking about? You sound dumb. I never wore tights in my life. I never ran off on a taxi, man. Right? No. I never paid for ass, bro. You underage, and then you said no, she was 18 and 6 months. What?
That's why Flakko's upset at Munchie B. You hear what Munchie B just said? Listen to this one more time.
I never ran off on a taxi, man. Right? No. I never paid for ass, bro. You underage, and then you said no, she was 18 and 6 months.
So that's why Flakko's upset at Munchie B, because Munchie B revealed the fact that Flakko paid for a young girl allegedly, it's all alleged, but according to Flakko, she was 18 and 6 months. If you have to add the 18 and 6 months, that is creepy behavior, my friend. But with that all being said, we all know that Flakko does not like when people bring up the David Jala situation or any of his other Freaky Factory situations. So with that all being said, that leads back to this.
Beefed online for years, and Munchie B didn't like Drakeo because Drakeo was arrested for the murder of Munchie B's best friend, Red Bull.
Well, LA rapper Drakeo recently got arrested, charged with murder and all that shit. They're alleging he tried to set up another rapper, and when the rapper didn't show up to the event that allegedly he was getting set up at, the homies he had listed to put in the work I guess, you know, funked off with somebody else and somebody got killed, you know what I'm saying? So they're alleging that he was the one that set it all up, arranged it.
Now, nowhere through any of that do you hear Munchie B has pulled a trigger. Nowhere in any of that do you hear Munchie B has done anything to actually commit a crime. So with that all being said, it's safe to say that Munchie B is not the reason why Drakeo the Ruler is unalive. But Munchie B was not the only person Flakko targeted. Let's keep going. Now, as Flakko continues his breakdown, he'll make his way to the neighborhood Pirus. But again, there's nobody from neighborhood Piru who is on paper, on any type of document, any type of police docket, any type of police report, or in any witness statements saying they had any type of issue, again, with Drakeo the Ruler. Now, what rumors and all that kind of stuff are in the streets, hey, we're not here to debate that. We're only here to talk about what's on the actual paperwork, what's in the actual documents. So when Flakko says things like this,
let's go back to this comment from YG security guard Big Gloves. We already broke down the Inglewood family's motivation to murder Drakeo the Ruler. Let's extend it to NHP. Let's get to NHP. NHP stands for Neighborhood Piru. Now, the Neighborhood Pirus, they didn't have direct beef with Drakeo the Ruler. However,
so if they didn't have a direct beef with Drakeo the Ruler, it's safe to say that they have nothing to do with the unalivement. Why would you mention these guys into the video when they have nothing to do with the unalivement? It's beyond me. Because by your own admission, Flakko, you saying that these dudes have no real beef, so if they have no real beef or no issue with Drakeo the Ruler, why would you mention them? I know, because Flakko likes to sensationalize things, and it's all about the takes and the clicks. Let's hear more of this flammery and these untruths.
they was just smacked down in the mix, and they was riding for YG. It's simple as that. See, YG got a really close relationship with a neighborhood Piru called Act Right. Now, Act Right has a really close relationship and ties.
Now, I want you to pay attention to when Flakko goes to mention all these people, all he does is mention one or two pictures that's looking like they're all from the same event where these dudes were all together, and then Flakko continues to try to add these guys to the situation. So we'll give you a little bit of this, but I want to preface it by saying there's no paperwork or anything of this man. As a matter of fact, I'm not even going to listen to this because it's stupid. Flakko just came out and said that the guy didn't have nothing to do with it, so why are we even going to play any content that will make it seem like he did? We're not going to do that. But we're going to move to the next person, and we actually do have paperwork to verify everything that I'm saying. And all the people that you hear me taking time to mention, from Munchie B to the dude Act Right, you'll see none of these guys are actually mentioned in the case file or in the witness statement. But let's continue on.
In the B team. Next acronym is obviously Black P Stones. Now, he made a typo. He said,
now, this is the one that I want to highlight the most because Flakko keeps going at this guy, Frankenstone. He's not mentioned in anything. The dude Frankenstone is not mentioned in anything. There's no eyewitness account. There's no witness statement. There's no police report. There's no testimony. There's nothing outside of Flakko who keeps saying this man's name. And it don't make sense because, as we all know, the dude Frankenstone is currently serving house arrest or an ankle monitor for whatever else he has going on in his life. We're not going to get into that. That's that man's business. But we all know common sense would dictate if somebody is on an ankle monitor, then probably, if they were wanted for an unalivement, they'd be picked up. So it doesn't really make sense, not even say really, it doesn't make sense to continue to blame this guy for something that he didn't do when he's clearly on an ankle monitor. And should the police be interested in him, guess what they can do? Tap that ankle monitor.
DSP is actually BPS, the Black P Stones. Now, on top of their affiliation with YG, the Black P Stones have direct beef with Drakeo the Ruler as well. One of Drakeo's most popular songs is Gorillas and Nuns. So Drakeo had personal beef with the Black P Stones people over there. He didn't like the rappers from there. They had issues, they had beefs. So Drakeo dropped a song called Gorillas and Nuns where he essentially rapped about how soft the Black P Stones are. He was calling them soft, calling them sweet, and dissing them. So the Black P Stones had personal beef with Drakeo the Ruler, and they wanted him gone because of their own personal beef, as well as their affiliations with YG. Now, what affiliations do YG got with the Black P Stones? Let me break it down. YG had an issue.
Now, again, as we're paying attention to this, notice that Flakko's not showing you any paperwork. All he's doing is showing you pictures and giving you an audible narrative of what he wants to be the truth. There's no actual proof of anything that he's saying. No actual proof of any of this.
With Drakeo the Ruler, because of Drakeo the Ruler's issues with DJ Mustard. Because YG and DJ Mustard are really cool, and they've been cool for years. Well, DJ Mustard is from the jungles, right? He is Black P Stones affiliated, right? Now, if Mustard doesn't claim to be a gang member, which, you know, there's very tell signs that DJ Mustard is a gang member. He is a part of Black P Stones, but...
Again, and Flakko is actually having no proof of any of this. There's no actual proof of any of this. You literally are just showing a picture of DJ Mustard with his hands in his pockets. He's not even wearing the color red. Yeah, Flakko, this is just gross inaccuracies, brother. And I get it, you're upset because things like this are constantly said about you.
You underage, and then you said no, she was 18 and 6 months. What?
Listen.
Who count months with adults? If your daughter is 19 months, that's one thing. Adult to say adult, she was 18 years old and 6 months. You're a predator. Hey, bro. Hey, look, listen. Hey, if you gonna pay for some. Why pay for an 18-year-old anyway?
But this came to know. Wait.
Hey, no. If you gonna pay for some ass, why pay for an 18-year-old? Why not 30? Answer that.
No jumper.
Answer that.
Lie that said.
Man, it wasn't a lie, bro. I don't want to keep dragging K7 into this, bro. That's why I left it alone.
No. Post quick though. This said in under.
Because the crazy part is, who counts months with an 18-year-old? So we get it, Flakko. That's reason enough to make you upset, but you ain't got to keep telling lies like this.
Affiliated people around him, right? There's, damn near every black.
Wait, what was that? What was that? You just said that you were just so sure that DJ Mustard was affiliated with the Black P Stones, and now you're saying something different. Hold on.
Is a gang member. He is a part of Black P Stones, but that's allegedly. But if he's not, he's affiliated. People around him, right? There's.
So do you hear how sure he was about these dudes and who they were and what they weren't and all that kind of stuff? Now it's allegedly, oh well, people around him. What I meant was blah blah blah. Come on, bro, we can't do that. I mean, the inaccuracies on this guy is just absolutely barbaric.
Damn near every Black P Stone members that I see got a 10 Summers chain, bruh. Right? So DJ Mustard's hanging around with nothing but Black P Stones, and he's from there. So that's where the initial beef with Black P Stones came from, because they got DJ Mustard's back. Drakeo got beef with Mustard. They don't like Drakeo because of his beef with Mustard. YG is backing up DJ Mustard. YG got the connection with Black P Stones due to his connection with Mustard. So DJ Mustard is dead center in the middle of this Drakeo the Ruler and Black P Stone beef. Now, the two BPS members that are very...
Outside of you just showing pictures and names and saying names, none of this is literal. None of this is actual fact. Now, you're about to bring up the guy Frankenstone, who, again, if he is in fact on these ankle monitors like we all know him to be, it will be impossible, literally impossible, for him to be the man who the police are looking at, because if he was the man police were looking at, they'd go get him. So before we get into this paperwork, I'm going to play this last little clip. But all Flakko is doing is saying this man's name. He's not showing any evidence. He's not showing any proof. He's not showing any substance. He's not showing anything to say that Frankenstone actually did anything wrong outside of Flakko regurgitating the name that WACK100 told him to spill. Let's jump into the content.
Crucial and important to this story is Gloves, YG security guard, and Frankenstone. YG security guard Gloves, who's from Black P Stones, he's been identified by eyewitnesses as the person who snuck in the knives.
Now, here's another issue with this. Gloves is not from Black P Stones. Gloves is not from Black P Stones at all. And Flakko actually named a few other people to be from the Black P Stones community who actually weren't from the Black P Stones community either. So again, his inaccuracies is just making this really hard to intake.
And was handing it out when the altercation started.
Yes, I'm speaking facts, bro. YG in real life, all the. Bro, I don't give a f, bro. I'm so mad, bro. My mama, bro. YG did some hoe, bro. And if I see Cuz, I'ma slap the shit out that. On all this puff talking like they hard, bro, but they fighting big ass security. You got those security guards fighting. Come on, bro.
Nowhere in any of this do you hear Frankenstone's name. Nowhere in any of this do you hear Frankenstone's name. Nowhere in any of this do you hear anybody mention Gloves being from BPS. So the information that Flakko's giving is just grossly inaccurate. Grossly inaccurate. But again, we'll listen to his own content. We don't have to take my word for it. Let's hear what his content says about it.
Bro, that's cool, bro. On my mama, bro. The big ass ball security guard snuck in knives, all type of weird.
Here's the slow down footage of Ralphie the Plug Drakeo brother and Gloves squaring up when the altercation started. Now, ultimately, Gloves will move on to another target and knock that person out. During that brawl, you had about
But at no point in any of that do you see Gloves or hear anything about Gloves attacking Drakeo the Ruler. There's nothing that actually says he did anything to Drakeo the Ruler.
100 bloods. No, they literally went and they counted how many bloods there was, It was like 118 or something,
But
just
then
outrageous.
We can't trust the opinion of somebody who's giving gang facts and giving inaccurate gang names and neighborhoods. We can't trust the facts of somebody who's putting people to gangs and all you're doing is showing pictures. And the person that you're trying to attribute to the gang isn't even wearing gang colors, let alone throwing up hand signs. There was nothing to really show that DJ Mustard was associated with any type of blood gang. You showed a picture of him and his artist YG. So Flakko, I don't know, bro. I think that you have a vendetta against the Bloods, and we understand your reasoning why, but it just doesn't really make sense to the story you're telling.
And it was that many Bloods out there because it was like different factions. It was the Neighborhood Pyrus, it was the Black P Stones, it was Inglewood Families, and it was Bloodstone Villains. And Bloodstone Villains, by the way, didn't have any direct beef with Drakeo the Ruler. They were only there because, again, you know, they were cool with...
So again, if you know the story of what's going on here, I'm not going to give you new information, but you can just see Flakko's inaccuracies. I'm not saying that anybody had a beef with anybody, but, you know, just the way that he's describing the situation and, you know, giving out these falsehoods is incredible. But with that all being said, let's take it to the actual 100-page witness testimony, and we'll hear what they had to say, because Flakko is not really being accurate. And I'm not sure, again, why you're lying on the Bloods, with the exception of you just have an extreme detriment towards Munchie B with the help of WACK100. And, you know, I will also say this. How is Flakko getting this information? You better believe WACK100 has paired Flakko up with Drakeo the Ruler's Bodyguard to get all this information. WACK is is the underlying source in all this of trying to take down the B team. So you know what? Without too much flu, flammery, skullduggery, or larceny, let's get into this witness statement. So what we have here is the Drakeo the Ruler's 100-page witness testimony brought to y'all by Respectable Rants. Give them a like, comment, subscribe. The whole 100-page testimony from Drakeo the Ruler's Bodyguard to see exactly what happened that unfortunate night where Drakeo lost his life. We about to jump into this content. Without no further ado, let's get into it. Let's go.
In today's video, we're going to be breaking down the testimony and deposition that Drakeo the Ruler's Bodyguard Coop would give, but let's dive right into it. Now, as most of us know, LA Times would post an article today saying that Drakeo the Ruler's Bodyguard implicated YG having a knife at the scene, and he would also say that YG was part of the melee. But we found the whole entire deposition, so let's dive right into it. One of the first questions they asked would be about the artists that were performing that night, and he would say that he knew that certain artists would be performing after Drakeo performed, and he didn't think it was a good idea, and it was cutting too close to other people's time. And they would ask him, who are you referring to? And he would say an artist called YG. Coop would then tell him, as far as the lineup and the time slots, there was nothing he can do, except emphasize to Drakeo that they needed more security. And he would tell him he didn't think that anything would happen before. He felt like something would happen after they were done performing, though. And he would say that there was a great chance to run into other artists. And they would ask him, why was that a concern? And he would say, I know that Drakeo and his rap group were indicted on charges. And as far as I know, it was for murdering one of the artist's friends back in the day. And they would ask him, did that situation with one of YG's friends lead to a feud or a beef between Drakeo and YG? And he would answer, I'm sure there may have been other things, but as far as I know, yes. And they would ask him, was this widely and
And that's the motive right there. In this situation, it's going to go from bad to worse.
publicly known? And he would answer yes. They then asked him what he meant by it being publicly known. And he responded, even to this day when I have certain artists I go to clubs with or that are booked for a club that are friends with Drakeo, the club would call him and say, I also have YG who has a table for the night. Are you sure you still want to come? They would then ask him, leading up to the festival, you said you did a lot of research and due diligence. Did you encounter any public information about the feud between YG and Drakeo or the people associated with both camps? And he would answer and say that one night, him and Drakeo were leaving the studio and YG was walking into the studio. YG then walked up to Drakeo and asked what's up with all that internet stuff. He would then say that he had to defuse that situation. They then asked him what was his awareness of what was publicly out there on the internet about their beef or feud. And he would say that there were interviews from both sides and that artists that YG and Drakeo both signed were associated with the beef. He would then say that it was just so many things and it was pretty obvious. And if you're into that type of music or genre, then you know what's going on. They would then ask him about any specific songs made in the beef, and he would mention that Drakeo dropped Inglewood in August of 2021. He would then tell him that was a diss song for the whole entire city of Inglewood. He would then say that he knows YG did an interview on No Jumper that was publicly released. He told them it was released in the summer of 2021, and that a lot happened in that 3 to 4 month period. They then asked him who was the interview with, and he would respond and say YG and his two artists. They would then ask him what was said about Drakeo or Drakeo's camp, and he would respond and say that YG said we don't do that internet stuff, and that the homie's gonna get you. They would then ask him that based on his knowledge and understanding, what gangs were YG and his crew affiliated with. And he would say the Inglewood families, and I think they're called the Treetop Pyrus. That's what YG claims. They would then ask him, are the Inglewood families a blood or a Crip subset? And he would say Bloods. They would then ask him, what are the Treetop Pyrus? And he would say they call themselves Pyrus, but they're still Bloods. They would then ask him how many passes were given to Draco, and he would say 10. They would then ask him about the 10 passes, and he would say 4 videographers, 2 DJs, Draco, Ralphie, him, and the last person was a video editor that was a female.
Now, the way that they break the situation down, the way that they explain this, the way that they, you know, pretty much present it is in a way to where, yes, this is right now in a civil suit, but if you don't think criminal charges are coming after this, nigga, you don't want to think. That's all. That's period, point blank. They're setting it up in a civil suit in a way to where, should they ever have to set this up, or when they have to, not just if, when they decide to set this up in a legal aspect, what's going to happen? And what's going to happen is they're going to have an easy open and shut case against YG, because if the civil suit goes, then that means that everything this man is saying is true. If that's the case, and that's more than enough information, more than enough evidence to press charges against YG and unfortunately everybody else involved. So, but what you don't hear in any of this is any mention of the other people involved. You don't hear any mention of any of the other people that Flakko's been naming. So it's really odd and interesting that Flakko go on the internet and say so accurately he knows about this person, that person, this, that, and the other, when none of these people are actually being charged with it. None of these people are actually being mentioned. You don't hear any mention of any of these other people. Yeah, you hear the issue with YG. That's, you know, what I was saying. You know, we're not here to dispute or debate that. But when it comes to all these other individuals that Flakko has been naming, that WACK100 has given him a list of names to, you don't actually hear any of these people being brought up in this set of circumstances. Like, it's just not there. It's not actually going on. So I'm just trying to figure out again, why is Flakko blatantly lying on these individuals? For Flakko to be this black man that swears that he's so for and pro black people, despite the fact that we know that he's not, it's not really clear for me to see where these other guys are involved at, but we'll continue on. Go through this situation, we will see that none of the people that Flakko mentioned are actually in there. You know, with the obvious of YG and his bodyguard being mentioned, you know, they are the two who the Drakeo the Ruler's bodyguard is saying. So we're obviously absolving them from this conversation. But when it comes to the Frankenstone guy, when it comes to the Baby Stone Gorillas, you know, they're mentioned, but they're not mentioned of actually doing anything. Who does Drakeo have beef with? Oh, he has beef with these people, but just having a beef with these people doesn't mean that these people did anything. So you don't hear any actual mention of the Frankenstone. You don't hear any mention of the dude from Neighborhood Paru. You don't hear any mention of Munchie B. You don't have any mention of any of these people that Flakko was just hammering until our psyche, man. So I'm not sure why he's trying to, you know, tuck these people into our subconscious. But as far as the witness report is going on, we don't have mention of any of these people. So with that all being said, man, I'm not really sure if Flakko knows what he's doing. I'm almost 100% sure that he doesn't know what he's doing. I do know that WACK is feeding him information because WACK does have a vendetta against these dudes. We'll go into that into the next video of why WACK is trying to take these guys down. But with that all being said, man, we up out here to the next one. Red down to the left. You know the rest. Say a prayer and be blessed. We gone.